Oh, Amiya. Hello, everybody. This is your Dreamweaving Spider Mama. Snake. Spider Snake. Solid Snake. Justin Halley. Shortish Snake. Hi, guys. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Glad to see you guys. We're being real sneaky today. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, Amiya. I still have some coffee left. I take a sip. That's right, I'm Liquid Spider. Amiya Cobra. Ooh, Cobra is pretty good. Speaking of Cobra, we just finished up with, last time we just finished up with Grey Fox. We didn't finish up with him actually. We rescued him. Well, no, we didn't rescue him. We found him, but we have not rescued him. So we're gonna have to be doing that. But we're gonna come back and do that because he's in a bad way right now. Cobra is Portuguese for steak. Oh, I did not know that. Justin, Spider, Cat, Steak, Amiya, Danger, Aranha, Halley. That's right. Sometimes I refer to myself as Amiya Aranha. Sometimes I refer to myself as Justin Halley. Sometimes Solid Snake. Sometimes Solid Spider. Liquid Spider, you know. Justin Halley sounds like a politician's name. Maybe he'll have a future in after retirement from the Snake Men force. I don't think Solid Snake cares much for for politics. As long as he has a ration, he'll be fine. It's true. You only need one. Let's get right into it, shall we? Oh, I was working on... Wait, before we get right into it. I was working on my Halloween opening screen, and I'm making good progress. It's gonna be... I told you guys, but it's like gonna be based on that SNL skit, the David Pumpkins one with the elevator, and then like you're gonna see a switch between all the different floors, and there's gonna be a couple of silly, different, spooky Amis on each floor, of course, including David Pumpkins, of course. Shameless James, thank you so much for the super chat. Coffee shop closed, take my drink. Really? Thank you. Oh my gosh. You just paid for my freaking Timbs. My Timbos. Oh my god, Tim Hortons has like a campaign going on right now. They've been like celebrating, you know, their retro vintage cup designs, although the one I have is not that vintage. But it's the cup design that they had when I was in university, so I remember it like so well. I'm just looking at it like this is bringing me back to my university days. Are you gonna start a collection? Maybe if I could get them like clean, but no, none of the ones I drink out of. They become too like grody, you know. But maybe if I could get dry ones. No, that would be stupid. No, I shouldn't do that. It's gonna be good. I think so. No meaning has ever had much of an impact on Amiya's David S. Pumpkin sketch. Well, there's Sonic. And Stargate. I do think it's very, very funny though. Retro cups for retro streamer. Good fit. Yeah, so this cup is nostalgic for me. Because I, of course, you know, like every university student, I would often get Tim Hortons. There was a Tim Hortons, you know, in my university basically. You got one of the ceramic Tim's mugs from a long time ago. It held up good. Oh yeah, their ceramic ones are actually nice. They are. My university had like a better cafe, but you know, it was like expensive. It was not Tim's. Alright. Let's go, shall we? So, this was okay, I wanted to just do a kind of little catch up on last time. So I'm just gonna read like the last paragraph of the last chapter. Oh, is the BGM volume too loud? Sorry, it's like pretty quiet for me. Bum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. Hopefully that's better. Put my audio into this thing down maybe. Okay, so didn't know that. It was obvious that Grey Fox was fading quickly. He needed a doctor. Halley felt the urgency of the situation tightening around him. This was the leader of his squad. He couldn't just let him die. He had to rescue Grey Fox. Salt Snake, listen. Not much time. Can you get us out of here before they come back for us? I'll try, promised Halley. But with what? His bare hands? Chapter 9. The Escape. Halley's hands were bare of weapons or equipment, and time was running out. The clock of doom was already ticking. The freaking 12 minutes to midnight or whatever. Minutes to midnight. Ticking. Katafi's terrorists will be back for them very soon, and that would mean certain death for the two snake men and the total failure of Outer Heaven mission. What was Halley to do? His rigorous Snake Man training had taught Solid Snake ways in which he could create whatever he needed from his immediate environment. He looked around him. What was there in his bare cell that he could use? Halley concentrated, visualizing possible escape scenarios. One piece of luck gave Halley the slightest edge, along with 2 key cards. Oh! No, I already read this too. He's gonna come back for Grey Fox. Side guys. Hey, when the urgency of situations gets tight. I know, it's freaking scary. What's gonna happen to Solid Snake? The clock of doom. The next room, so he escaped by, he found a hole and he dug the hole by lighting a match, and he was seeing where the wind was coming from. The next room Solid Snake entered had nothing in it. It appeared to be just an empty space. But Justin Halley had a strange feeling. Oh, this is Solid Snake, Justin Halley. When you load... Yeah, I loaded an old C file. But Justin Halley had a strange feeling about this place. Something was in here. He was sure of it. He did a quick search but came up with nothing. Even so, all his instincts told him that something of importance should be hidden here. He looked again, this time even more thoroughly. But again, he found nothing. Perhaps his Snake Man instincts were wrong this time. He was wasting precious minutes. By now, the terrorists would have returned to get Solid Snake and Grey Fox. They would have found them missing, or they'd be searching every inch of Outer Heaven. Reluctantly, Halley turned to leave, to look elsewhere, but... If only I had a poisoned cigarette. There it was, something really small caught Solid Snake's sharp, trained eye. High up on the wall, close to the ceiling, a thin piece of plastic, no bigger than a credit card. A brief touch told him it was keycard 3! Oh my god, it was just on the ceiling! The young Marine captain retrieved it. He now had 3 out of 8 necessary keycards. Why were the keys just lying about? Okay, thank you for addressing that question that I had. Halley was sure that it was a sign of the maniac Katafi's arrogance. Building a fortress and then leaving the keys in plain sight. That's kind of crazy. I knew his Snake Man instincts wouldn't be wrong. Yeah, he's a Snake Man, okay. It's like Spider Sense, it's like Spider Mama Sense. Why are the keys just laying about? Halley was sure it was a sign. Okay, yeah. It was keycard 3 in his pocket. Halley felt a sense of elation. He was on his way again. Locking the door behind him, he looked around to see where he should go next. One door on the far wall stood out. It was bigger than the others, big enough to drive a vehicle through. Trucks and tanks, jeeps and other rolling stock were parked all over Outer Heaven, both indoors and out. Could this room be some kind of armory supply depot? If it was, it must certainly be guarded. Solid Snake would have to be even more cautious than usual. He crept up silently to the door and applied keycard 3 to the lock, and heard the click. They were hidden like Easter eggs. Yeah, he's on an Easter egg hunt. Every year we aspirate the equivalent to a credit card of microplastic. Oh my god. I don't want to know that fact. 4 exciting paragraphs of getting a leader out and getting the keycard up the ceiling. I know, they take so long to describe everything. In the next room, which was a supply depot, a huge man whom Halley recognized from his criminal file as the Shotgunner was keeping watch over a large cache of weapons, including Solid Snake's own equipment. The terrorists had brought in the weapons to the central armory for storage after they captured Justin Halley. If there was ever one big, ugly monster, it was the Shotgunner. Jeez! He was armed to the teeth, ready to kill. I mean, he, loved his work. What was wrong with him? What do you mean, big, ugly monster? That's so mean. I know he's, evil, but... Creeping silent as a shadow, staying close to the wall to avoid detection, Solid Snake entered the armory. He saw the giant shape of the Shotgunner looming in the center of the room, watchful, waiting for an intruder so that he could let fly with deadly rain of bullets. In the guard's large hands was the most powerful shotgun that Halley had ever seen. One blast from that gun could tear a gaping hole in the wall of a steel building. All around him, Halley saw piles of weapons, guns, and explosives of all kinds. But getting them into his hands would be noisy business. Before Solid Snake could even shoulder a weapon, the Shotgunner would have heard him and blown him to the moon. Sick shotty. It's so cool. Wow, you could blow me to the moon with that thing. Wait a minute. There, almost under the nose of the Shotgunner, was a pile of gear on the floor. Justin Halley recognized it. It was his own. The Beretta with its silencer. I pull out my Beretta. The Ingram Mac 11. And his bandolier, the gas mask, all of it, even his rations. Now, if you could only get to it. Using the oldest trick in the book, the ventriloquist's skill of throwing his voice in another direction. Solid Snake made a small sound come from the opposite side of the room. I feel like usually he just throws something, you know. For a split second, the shotgunner turned his head, only just long enough for Halley to race past him and grab up his weapons cache. Solid Snake hoped that his hands would first fall on the pistol, because the pistol had a silencer, but he didn't have time to pick or choose. And as luck would have it, the first weapon in his hand was the Mac 11. The shotgunner was allergic to cherry. Oh no! Well, cherry is not my favorite. He said, "Apple da ma beretta." To throw. Yeah, what did he say? I wonder. Maybe he just went. Up. The shotgunner heard him and growled in his throat a deep animal sound. An engaged threat. He lifted his mighty shotgun and sighted down the barrel at Halley. There wasn't a second to spare. Solid Snake didn't even have time to reach for the trigger of his gun. Instead, he whirled and swung the Mac 11 like a baseball bat, letting the shotgunner have it on the side of the head. That's a new snake skill from a new game. Or new from this book. You home, big boy. Justin Halley threw his falsetto across the room. It's a Bugs Bunny-esque trap to do, just like Bugs Bunny pretending to be a woman. The weak and puny ventriloquism versus a chat throwing a rock jutsu. I guess they're both effective. Oh yeah, that's a good growl, huh? I can't even replicate it. There wasn't a second to spare. He didn't even have time to reach for the trigger of his gun. Okay, I read that. He heard an angry growl become a grunt and saw the shotgunner topple over from the force of the blow and the mighty gun fall from his big hands. Solid Snake knew that. They describe everyone as big in this book. They're like, that man was huge. He was so big. It's very strange. Solid Snake knew that the noise of the struggle would have the terrorist guards down on him before he could blink an eye. He had to get out of there. And fast. But he was running for the back door. Loaded down with his gear, he noticed some equipment among the supplies that might prove useful. A suit of body armor and a bomb blast suit. Grabbing them, Halley ran for his life out through the back door. He wasn't aware of it yet, but Halley was about to come face to face with a new hazard. Not the heat panels! You ever seen a big man? When's the last time I saw a big man? Let me think. And with huge guts. Snake's just a regular guy. I don't feel like he would like look at everyone around him and be like, that man's huge though. Let's see here. I mean, I guess my dad's pretty big. But he's like skinny now. He used to have a big old belly, but now he's skinny. They recruit all the bad guys from Samoa, I guess, like The Rock. Big man hugely threw the other guy across the room with his muscles. Target audience is tweens, everybody's big to them. I know, but they should... I don't know. It's just weird because it's like Justin Halley's point of view. Game hint. Watch out for the pitfalls between the wood crates. Chapter 11. The heat panels. Yeah, this is a good comment. I'm noticing how this is four full pages, but probably would have been less than 30 seconds in universe. This whole book is like 11 minutes of stuff happening. He's known for stealth, maybe. He's on the smaller side so he can get through vents and stuff. I mean, maybe, but I feel like he still wouldn't look at everyone and be like, that guy's huge, whoa. But yeah, I guess they could really come up with anything. Typical light novelty anime adaptation. Solid Snake looked around him. He was outside the complex building of the Outer Heaven. Oh, he was outside the second building of the Outer Heaven complex in the shadow of a high wall. His weapons were heavy, and he had to get inside and stash them somewhere safe. He'd never find Metal Gear dragging all his heavy equipment around with him. About 20 yards away, almost against the wall of the building, Solid Snake saw more trucks, 3 of them at once. At once, Halley stopped in the middle. One was a trap. Solid Snake was beginning to expect the way the terrorists thought, and he avoided it. The first truck was empty, but the last truck on the end held a treasure sitting in the glove compartment with keycard for already! Oh my god. In the shadow of the cradle of the big high wall. I don't know that song, if it's a song. Where 11 years can happen in 11 words in 11 minutes could be a trilogy. What a beautiful medium. Yeah, it is beautiful when you think about it. Easy peasy, baby. The first truck was empty. Yeah, we got keycard 4. Suddenly Solid Snake wasn't tired anymore. He was wired. Oh, he wasn't tired, he was wired! It was a SpongeBob song. It's the spiritual predecessor to 24, 11 minutes. Yeah. I was gonna say something, but I think it's like a local TV show, so maybe I shouldn't say that. Yeah, he's speedrunning them. He was a poet, and he didn't even know it. He was wired, bursting with energy. Grabbing the keycard, he ran for the building and entered through a side door. The layout of Building 2 was not unlike that of the first building in the Outer Heaven complex. There were no stairs evident, just 2 elevators, east and west. No markings on any of the doors. In the corner of the vast first level, painted on the floor, was that same strange insignia. Minutes were ticking by quickly. Grey Fox had told Halley that Metal Gear was almost completed. Speed was essential now more than ever. Solid Snake realized he needed to find a place to stash the arsenal he was carrying. It would just slow him down. But where was the safe hiding place? He thought about it a minute, and it came to him. The best place to stash equipment was a room already filled with equipment, a room locked by one of the 4 keycards Halley already had. If he could only find a place like that, unguarded, a place he could come back to. Halley found an unlocked room filled with food and stuffed his pockets full of rations. He made certain that he had all 4 keycards on him and moved silently to the locked door. Keycard 3 didn't fit the lock, but keycard 4 got the door open. Very cautiously, on the lookout for traps, he moved inside. It was exactly the setup Solid Snake had hoped for. Weapons and gear lined the shelves of the room. The equipment was out of date and appeared to be unguarded. It looked like stuff nobody would want or come to check on. How convenient. Nobody would bother or notice Solid Snake's stash. He could retrieve it as needed. Halley began to unfasten his bandoliers, but before he could set down any of his gear, he heard noises approaching the door. He moved fast and low towards the back of the storeroom. Just as the front door opened, an armed squad of Colonel Katafi's men came in. Solid Snake saw a small back door to one side of him. He slipped through it before the terrorists could catch a glimpse of him. He's like, this is a room, no one's ever gonna come here, all the stuff's out of date, nobody's gonna go, I'm gonna put this here, nobody's ever gonna be here. And then people come 2 minutes later. The stuff is too heavy, he shoves everything he can in pockets. It's true, he doesn't have much good to carry, like good ways to carry stuff. Rations and clinking noises. I got rations A, B, and C, baby. The Beanie Baby stash. Those are gonna be worth $1 bazillion. He was in a place he'd never been before. Ahead of him stretched a large area made up of what appeared to be solar panels, but couldn't be, because there was no sun in the windowless room to heat them. On the other side of the panels was another set of doors, each of them holding the possibility of escape. To reach the door, Solid Snake would have to cross the panels. Behind him, he could hear terrorists talking noisily in the storeroom. His only escape route was across the panels. He could feel the heat rising off them while he was still 4 feet away. 3 panels were arranged in a set, 2 smaller panels on the outer edges and a larger, more intense-looking panel in the center. On the other side of the area, there was a control panel with switches and dials. Obviously, the panels could be turned on or off. Obviously. What were these panels? What function did they perform? At a quick guess without examination, Solid Snake thought that they were made of silicon, a covering for fuel or energy cells, intended to vent heat created by an enormous energy source. Elsewhere, from Metal Gear? Obviously! Sorry for the squeak, I just moved my mic arm. Not picking off his stress finding room without outdated stuff to crash in. You guys ever not been in the office? I've definitely gotten close to like falling asleep at work. Here they were, just as Chuck had warned him. These couldn't be anything but the heat panels. It had been a true warning after all. Now the Snake Man's words came back to him again. You can't get to Metal Gear without crossing the heat panels. Burning, they burn. Eat the rations. You could raise your own body temperature if you want to survive. You were never in a well? Oh, no. You guys were not enough. You'll never get to not enough status. I bet you guys were not enough. Yeah, if you work at like a desk and there's nothing going on, it's kind of hard not to sometimes. Walking in on napping Amiya, she could get in a lot of trouble. Maybe wake her. Yeah. Is this like a visual novel? Should I wake her or leave her be? Then the bad ending is I get fired. Yeah, you gotta like stand up and take a walk around, you know. It's true. Rations. Solid Snake must eat right now. He pulled the rations out of his pockets and peeled the wrappings off. Halley swallowed quickly, almost choking on the dry and densely compressed rations. With no liquid to wash them down, he ate as much as he could find in his pockets, and then turned to the deadly heat panels. Walking in on napping Amiya, if she wakes up and get fired. That's like that. There's like a board game like that called Don't Wake Daddy. From the 90s. Pigs wake her up with a bucket of water. But my computer! He's gonna get all in my computer! You gotta put like ice down my back or something. It has to be more concentrated. He couldn't afford another moment's delay. The only way to turn off the heat panels was from the other side of the room. Solid Snake set off across the silicon cells. The heat was fierce burning, just like Chuck had said. As Halley crossed the deadly panels, the temperature began to rise even higher. The heat became more intense and more intolerable the further he progressed. And he was still on one of the outer panels. What would happen when he got to the center panel? The one that could really burn the flesh off a man's bones. Geez, scary. Solid Snake had eaten every scrap of field rations he had with him, and he still had to face the central panel. I've tried to heal myself with the rations, but I'm out of rations. I can't heal myself anymore. I can't heal faster than the panels hurt. Suddenly, though, he felt a rise in his own body temperature. The calories he'd eaten were taking effect. This makes no sense. His body and internal organs were heating up to match the heat of the panels. This doesn't make any sense. They could melt the flesh off a man's bones and he'd heat it up to match the temperature. Love that feeling. Heat dissipating rations? What is going on? Chekhov's calorie meat. What? That's so stupid. He didn't understand what incredible writing. But Chuck's advice saved his life. Oh my god, he was crossing the center panel now. Sweat was running down his head and body. His eyes ached from the heat, haze, and the glare. He could have just solved the puzzle or something. Why was this written in? I know, just make him like swing across like Tarzan or something. But Solid Snake was still alive. Thanks to Chuck's warning, the rations had their effect. He was in great pain, but he couldn't bother about that now. Instead, Justin was elated because he felt he was getting closer to Metal Gear. Justin and Halley stumbled off the heat panels, more dead than alive. The first thing he had to do was shut off the heat. Finding the control board for the heat panel, Solid Snake closed the system down. Across from him were 3 doors. He opened the door on the left with keycard 1 and stepped through. Kojimbo! It just works, Todd Kojima. When I eat an entire cake and intentionally burn all the calories in your body, so you don't get fat. Yeah, you know, that would be revolutionary if that worked. 3 doors shut, go in the wall stuff. Eating food does make you warmer. Your body creates heat as it digests the food. Yeah, but you wouldn't like feel it, and it wouldn't raise your body to the same temperature as heat panel. Remember, kids, if you want to safely walk on your oven range, just nap. Just take a good nap. Good on the writer for trying to explain the rations. Yeah, I guess so. They were like, it's in the game, so I gotta put it in the book. But and then they were like, I don't know why this works. Game hint: you need the rocket launcher to defeat. Nerd. Chapter 12: The Moving Bridges. Laser traps were everywhere. Their destructive invisible rays cross-cutting and intersecting the hallway about 4 feet off the ground. Any one of them would have burned a hole right through Solid Snake. Any 2 of them together would have turned him into Swiss cheese. Avoiding laser traps by means of the infrared goggles, Halley made his way to the west elevator. He thought he might be able to spot the location of Metal Gear from the roof. Solid Snake took the elevator to the rooftop. 2 terrorist guards were waiting for him, but Halley threw himself to the floor of the elevator and pressed the button to go down. Bullets penetrated the elevator door, passing over his head. Oh! Can't wait to have 80s. Can't have 80s action without Arnold. Get to the chopper. Get to borrowing. Get to the chopper. This is such a great Thanksgiving. Oh no! Everyone is turkey in the oven. Turkey. Oh! Next, I think it's Sunday. Anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. It's my normal day off. I'm gonna have Thanksgiving dinner with my family. Solid Snake took the elevator to the rooftop. Yeah, the bullets passed over his head. Had to get back safely to the roof. Maybe he could trick the guards. Halley left the elevator at the floor below and pressed the button to send it back up to the roof. Then he raced for the east elevator. Halley stepped out of the east elevator and onto the roof just as the doors of the west elevator were opening. He watched as the guards let fly with a hail of bullets from their automatic weapons. Still believing that Solid Snake was in the west elevator. Yeah, on Ami Planet, we celebrate Thanksgiving early. What are you thankful for on Ami Planet? I'm thankful for the beautiful water that I'm able to drink right from my tap. That's what I'm thankful for. I have clean water to drink, you know. Potato love. My baby love. Happy to have, you know, family to spend Thanksgiving with, you know. Thankful for that. I just realized Snake has to pistol whip everyone because it's a kid's book. Yeah, I don't know if he's like shot anyone yet. How many planet goes around the sun faster? Yes, you see, it's like that. That's why I'm for Brazilian. Early stream, yes, welcome. I'm thankful for my mom. I'm thankful for mischief. Halley stepped out of the east elevator and onto the roof. Just as the doors of the west elevator were opening, he watched the guards fly hail bullets from their automatic weapons, still believing Solid Snake was in the west elevator. But he wasn't. He was behind them, only a foot away from their backs. With the butt of his Beretta, he knocked both of them out cold. There were two more of Taffy's men who would be out of commission for a long time to come. Ducking down, Solid Snake looked over the top of the Outer Heaven complex. From the roof, he could see a bridge linking Building 1 to Building 2 and another linking Building 2 to Building 3. Suddenly, it occurred to Solid Snake that Buildings 2, 3, and 1 were linked together. Both Dr. Petrovic and Metal Gear might easily be in the third building. With the clock ticking away, perhaps he could reach them without going through any more of the complex. Just then Halley set foot on the bridge. The instant Halley took his first steps, the bridge began to move. It was made up of overlapping metal plates, and although it appeared solid, it wasn't. Yeah, good tap water is important, you know. I'm grateful. I'm genuine. I'm being genuine. I'm like genuinely thankful that I have drinkable tap water. Under the Marine captain's weight, combined with the weight of his gear, the place began to shift one way and the other, making yawning gaps. Not as solid as this snake. Well, there is also a liquid snake, you know. But that's not him, it's not this guy. I can't even imagine not having good tap water. Yeah, well, being good is one thing, but some places you just like outright cannot drink the tap water, you know, it's very sad. But yeah, my tap water is also delicious. Yeah, yum yum. Spoiler, sorry. Well, he exists, you know. It's not that much of a spoiler. Good tasting tap water is the best and nice and cold. This is even more dangerous than the heat panels. Just one small false step and Solid Snake would fall through a gap to the courtyard below, 3 long stories down. He'd be squashed like a bug. Loaded down by a grenade launcher and other heavy equipment, Halley moved with agonizing slowness. Inch by inch, left foot, right foot. Left foot, right foot. Left foot, right foot. I'm walking on by like a bug. He forced himself to not look down, to think about the concrete pavement 3 stories below. At last, after long agonizing minutes, Solid Snake crossed the bridge safely. Now he was on the roof of Building 3. You can't believe Kojima the hack didn't have the guts to put in Gassy Snake. That's so messed up. Plasma Snake. Light Snake? No, that was what's the guy's name? The Toy Story music guy. Randy Newman Snake. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. That's what he sounds like. In front of him was a small crate. Halley approached it carefully. Then slowly opened the top. He couldn't believe his eyes. There were 2 objects inside. One was a mine detector, and the other was the radio transceiver. Now he could hear what Diana was transmitting. Short Snake Minga. Small problems. That's a good Randy Newman. Thank you so much. You hate that song? Well, he's a very distinctive style of singing. Singing right from the nose. You got a friend in me. Yeah, you gotta kind of block the air off from your throat. You got a friend in me. Halley strapped the equipment to his back and walked to one of the elevators. The door wouldn't open. He walked to the other elevator. None of his keycards would open that one either. So he was back to the roof drawbridge again for another crossing to Building 2. But this time he was weighed down by even more equipment. Solid Snake hadn't taken more than 3 or 4 steps out into the void when he realized he was going to fall. Certainly going to fall. It was better to jump than to fall. It was a long way down, but Halley had made it over 200 parachute jumps. There must be a way to minimize the risk. Oh my god. She might not be able to do accents, but she can do a flawless Randy Newman. Hey, I actually practiced, with a southern accent that one time, and for that 1 week, I was pretty dang good at a southern accent. No, them's good numbers, that's a lot. 200? That's a lot. I think it does it at the beginning of the game, right? With the panels of the bridge swaying and opening under his feet. Prove it? Well, I'm not as good now. I would have to practice again, but something like, hey there, sugar. Hey there, sugar. So you can do a less, intense southern accent and it sounds a little bit more realistic. First he put the body armor on, then he wrapped his weapons tightly. As he could in a bomb blast suit, tying the sleeves around the payload and paying particular attention to the safety of the radio. Attaching the bandoliers to the bulky package, Halley gently hung them off the bridge and let go. The weapons landed with a thud. Were they still in one piece? Justin Halley would soon find out. If, that is, he landed in one piece himself. And the treasure was in one piece. Yeah, the diner, Asimer. No, you didn't dream that. No. Unrelated to the 200 drums, his knees cracked every time he crouched. Well, knees are notoriously fragile. If Snake just imagines his parachute hard enough, it could create the necessary drag to survive. That's where this book is going, I feel like. The bridge is swaying worse than ever, and huge cracks had opened between the plates. With the bridge giving way under his feet, Halley wrapped his arms around his knees, tucked himself into a ball. He's Sonic! And jumped over the edge. One Piece treasure. Yeah, that's the name of the treasure. They say that in the theme song. It was not a ghost diner, was it? I don't think so. It's easy to land in one piece. Tricky bit is standing up in one piece. True. You'll just fall apart like Mr. Bones. You spin dashing. This is just like Sonic Snake buzzing safely. You may now call Snake Sonic again. Okay. With one, just before he reached the ground, he untucked and gave his body a half twist. As he hit the ground, he rolled over twice, then slapped down hard with both hands. Scrambling to his feet, Justin Halley felt himself all over, nothing broken. He checked his weapons, they seemed a-okay. Even the radio didn't have a scratch or dent on it. Another successful jump, only this time he had made it without a parachute. Not a jump he'd recommend to his squad as a regular exercise. Without his extensive training, he would have broken a leg, or worse. Sonic took a look around. The courtyard was thick with trucks and tanks. Halley crept down into the shadow of a truck for a better look. Yeah, you guys, Mr. Bones. I'm gonna be playing that again this month. The truck had rations on the front seat, and he was out of rations thanks to the heat panels, so he pocketed them. But there were armed terrorists everywhere. To divert the guards' attention, Solid Snake decided to blow up a tank. Awesome, definitely not necessary, but placing, he didn't like throw his voice, but okay. Placing a couple anti-tank missiles under the tank treads, he set the detonators and crept away unseen. It's like in 3D Zeldas, if you roll right before you hit the ground, you're good. It's like he should just carry a bucket of water with him, like in Minecraft. Changing the Sonic works too well because now it's just an Eggman base. I know! It could be, they just changed a couple things around. It could be a Sonic book. I wonder if there's Sonic books. Suddenly, a faint radio transmission, almost blanketed by static, came from his transceiver. What he needed was an antenna, so the broadcast would come in clearly. Justin Halley could barely hear a woman's voice saying, "Boss man here, watch out, it's a minefield. Trying to slip through wearing an enemy uniform." This is the voice I'm giving Diana. The message coming out of nowhere left Solid Snake very puzzled. How did the control know where he was? Had they pinpointed him at the edge of a minefield? He snaked solidly to the transceiver. Tragic, the only time they ever interact is indirectly in Smash Bros. They could interact directly in Smash Bros, right? They can punch each other. You have a Sonic book? Oh my god. A Choose Your Own Adventure book? Oh my god, we have to read that. The message coming out of nowhere left Solid Snake very puzzled. How to control know where he was? How'd they pinpointed him on the edge of a minefield? Halley had lost his homing device in the trapdoor long ago, but suppose the compass hadn't really been the homing device. The compass had been the only thing that Foxhound Command let take him into outer heaven. Why did they not tell him that it was in his sleeve? Except for his suit of camouflage. The camels had come into outer heaven on Solid Snake's back. For the first time, Justin Halley realized that somewhere in his suit must be the real homing device. They'd been tracking him all along. But wait, if Control knew where the minefield was, hadn't it also been aware of the heat panels, the shotgunner, and every other hazard that Captain Justin Halley had just faced? Why hadn't Control warned him earlier? Why his commander lied to him about the compass? Didn't the leader of the Snakemen trust Justin Halley? And now, if Solid Snake were to take off his camels and put on an enemy uniform, wouldn't Halley be off the computers of Foxhound Command? And would that be good or bad? He's so confused. Can I still trust Commander Self? Halley whispered, and didn't know the answer. He felt totally cut off from his command. You can often defeat the shotgunner by hitting him 10 times. Often? What does that mean? They don't know. Is it different? Maybe you do like a random amount of damage. Just say at least 10 times. The dangers that threatened him, in spite of the suspicions he held, no matter how justified he believed they were, Halley knew he must continue to follow orders and carry out his mission. His training and discipline would not permit him to disobey a superior officer, even one whose motives were sus and bogus. If he accepted the Control's warning as true and got hold of an enemy uniform, he'd have to keep his camouflage suit with him always to make certain that... Homer! Why is it called a Homer all of a sudden? Is that a real term that they use to describe homing devices? He's spiraling. No, he's calm. That would add even more weight to the load he was carrying. By now, Solid Snake was carrying with him enough gear for 3 men. But man... They're roaming gangs of shotgun men roaming the land, and this is what the peasants have reported to work. The peasants? The tips guy shot him during invincibility frames and probably lost count. Probably. You think he had to do it all himself, eh? But man, I don't want to be tracked. But Mars, I don't want to be tracked through outer heaven, Mars. No, this is terrible. If he's tracking him unknowingly, it is evil Homer. True. Well, the homing device is not evil. It's just, you know, put there by someone. That would add even more weight to the load he was carrying. By now, Solid Snake was carrying with him enough gear for 3 men. Look, Homer! Look, Homer, we're in Metal Gear! I shouldn't try and do Marge. I'm not whoever plays Marge. I can't do that. Big the Simpson. No, it sounded like Homer. Come on. If he could find the homing device, remove it, and take it with him, Halley could leave the suit of camels behind. But first, he had to find an enemy uniform. They didn't come empty. He'd have to empty one. Oh, and how? And how? On feet as quiet as a panther. How about a snake? He's the snake man. Solid Snake sneaked up behind an unsuspecting tank guard and rabbit punched him. What is a rabbit punch, you guys? You guys, CQC experts, what is a rabbit punch? To be fair, in Metal Gear, you do be punching dudes a lot. Kind of sounds like Homer doing his Marge impression. Yeah, maybe. Even actual Marge being a kid, that's what I'm saying, you know. Why is he so animal? I have no idea. He should be a snake, if anything. Guess you can't use snake for it since they don't have feet in his case. You can say he slithered along like a snake quietly through the grass. Is a punch you do to the back of the head? Oh, okay. Like a jab? Okay. Out cold, working fast. Solid Snake stripped the guard of his uniform. Oh my god, Snake, don't! Yeah! He slipped out of his clothes, put the body armor on again, this time next to his skin. Then he climbed into the enemy uniform and made certain the 4 key cards were safe in his pocket along with the rations. Incredibly dangerous. Well, I read rabbit punch used so much in books I never bothered to look it up. Really? That's the first time I've ever heard it. I'm gonna punch Lenny in the back of the head. You guys can't stop referencing The Simpsons now. Halley picked up his camos and ran his hand carefully over the entire uniform sewn into the sleeve. Just then Halley located the miniaturized homing device. Now he wouldn't have to bring along the entire uniform, only the sleeve. Ripping off the sleeve, Solid Snake stuffed it in the pocket of the terrorist uniform he was now wearing. Well, now he can lose it, you idiot! Employing the mine detector to protect him from hidden mines, Halley took his first steps out on the minefield. Boom! 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 Behind him, Solid Snake heard a series of explosions. The tanky mine had been blown sky high. It was a monumental diversion, noisy and deadly. Frightened terrorists were running in every direction, yelling in fear. But Solid Snake couldn't stop to look back. Watching every step he took, Captain Halley managed to make his way through... Okay, now he's Captain Halley, not even just Justin Halley. Managed to make his way from the minefield. Just ahead was a storage shed in a clearing. It must hold something vital, thought Halley. Using cue card 4, he unlocked the shed. It can lead to severe brain injury. Oh my god. Referencing The Simpsons in my default state, I need to actively suppress it. That's okay. I love The Simpsons. I love the shim. Or I used to. Inside, tied to a chair, was a captured snake man. Oh! He had been severely beaten. Oh. Solid Snake untied the man. Oh! Bill, it's me, he said. Never mind the enemy uniform. It's Solid Snake. The prisoner made gasping noises. Hal leaned out by the wounded man's side and put his ear close to Snake Man. What? What? What roller coaster? Hal leaned out by the wounded man's side and put his ear close to Solid Snake Man's lips. That doesn't make any sense. Dr. Petrovic is on the 2nd floor building 2. He gasped the prisoner and closed his eyes. As the man passed out, his fingers pointed to a tile on the floor, the one that appeared to be the same as any other tile in the room. But Halley looked more closely. The tile was loose. He moved in and underneath was keycard 5! Solid Snake picked it up and pocketed it. Could he believe this man was Dr. Petrovic on the 2nd floor, or was it a trap? It was a snake man. That's good. He was severely beaten. That's bad. It's all coming Simpsons. Solomon Snake, Justin Man Snake, Sonic Man, Captain. They're doing that again. Yeah, they're putting people's ears to their lips again. Solid Snake Man, Dorhe, and Koi. Ah! Does it remind you of Justin Bailey, aka Samus in a leotard? Not the greatest mental image. Justin Bailey, aka Samus in a leotard. Like Samus from Metroid. Halley made a search of the storage shed. He picked up more rash. What if they made a Metroid movie? That would probably suck. The thrilling novelization of a man collecting numbered cue cards. Yes, it's also exciting. He picked up more rations and made a very useful find, an antenna. Now the transceiver would work a lot better and the radio transmissions from control would come in more clearly. There's just an antenna flying around. He didn't have to like snap it off something. That's so weird. Seamus Oran. Amiya Haruhimiya. No, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. They learned their lesson with the other M. To not what? Because I've never played that. I just know people don't like it. Engage Ridley was cut out of the book for profanity. Engage Ridley? I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My brain's not completely on yet. Justin Halley decided to try for Dr. Petrovic on the second floor of Building 2. As the dying snake man had told him. When he reached the second floor, Solid Snake encountered a huge tank of liquid between himself and his next objective. Was the liquid plain water or something far more deadly, such as acid or lava? Whatever it was, Captain Halley didn't trust the look of it. Even so, he was gonna have to get across it somehow. It was huge! Zendaya, Samus, and Jack Black screwed. They went different direction with Samus as a character. I see. Was she all like, you know? What was the direction? Those are famous passwords in the NES Metroid. Oh, okay. I see. They made it very Japanese. What does that mean? He approached it with a probing look, trying to scope it out. In the center of the tank, deep under the surface of the liquid, was what appeared to be an underwater tunnel. Where did it lead? Was it the entrance to where Solid Snake should go next? Or was it another of Taffy's traps, or both? I will cash in my bad words passes. Special password for the original. Oh my god! Engage Ridley, Mother Meower. That's crazy. It was a downward spiral. They made her helpless and fainting. Oh no! Not Samus Oran. Sakamoto envisioned her as vulnerable. The fanbase had other ideas. No, she's a strong, independent woman. Where did it lead? Was it the entrance to where Solid Snake should go next, or was it another Taffy's traps, or both? Once again, Solid Snake was facing a crucial test. The underwater tunnel had to be investigated, but it might be a false tunnel with no opening at the other end. Captain Halley would be trapped there and drowned. Also, he was loaded down with heavy equipment, weapons he would need to succeed his mission. Although he was a powerful swimmer, Solid Snake would be hampered by the weight of his gear and the terrible swimming controls. And who knew for how long the underwater tunnel might be? A few hundred yards? A mile? 10 miles? How long could Halley hold his breath? He should know that if he's a military guy. Which was the fail-safe point beyond... he's a marine even. Beyond which there was no turning back again. None of these questions had easy answers. Precious moments were being wasted in what-ifs. There was only one thing to do, and that was to dive in. Strapping his equipment to his back, Solid Snake filled his lungs with all the air they could hold. Breathing in the chemicals, executed a perfect jackknife into the water and swam toward the underwater tunnel. Inside the tunnel, it was pitch black. He swam for what seemed to be a very long time. The air in Captain Halley's lungs was depleting fast, but there was still no end in the tunnel. It just went on and on, getting darker and darker. Solid Snake realized with grim certainty that he was in a trap. It was already too late to swim back to the starting point. Halley's breath would never hold out that long, and he was already beginning to feel lightheaded. He couldn't make it to the surface because the heavy equipment was holding him down as though he'd been tied to a rock. The situation appeared to be hopeless. Even Ami and chat regularly test the breath-holding skill. Snake is losing it. Yeah. We just did that yesterday. Solid Snake would drown, and Metal Gear would destroy civilized world. Yet Halley could not give up. Not while he still had air in his young lungs. Suddenly, he saw at the side of the tunnel a small door. He swam to it and tried it, locked. But now, things were turning back in front of his eyes, and there was almost no air left in his lungs. Perhaps he could unlock the door with a keycard. There was very little time left. He only had one chance to get the door open before he blacked out and drowned. Which card should he try? The new one. Keycard 5. With wet and feeble hands, Justin Halley fished the key out of his pocket and managed to get it into the lock. He was on the verge of passing out. He was swimming for a whole 37 seconds. And then the secret entrance opened and Halley swam through it, into the shallow tunnel. into the shallow gutter at the side of the underwater tunnel. As he did, his hand scraped along the side of the tunnel and found something. Without thinking, he held on tightly to what he'd found. It's another key card. I bet. That's my bet. Raising his face to the surface, Solid Snake drew in great ragged gulps of air. Looking around, he saw that he had reached the other side of the huge tank. He was saved. Is Goey found them all in order of use? Yeah, almost a little too convenient. Wet and trembling with exhaustion, Solid Snake drew himself out of the pool and lay down on the rim, panting and gasping. Solid Snake. He allowed himself no more than 60 seconds to get his strength back. And then he had to go on. The mission was waiting. Dr. Petrovic was waiting. Maybe even here on the second floor, as the dying snake man had said. Halley scrambled to his feet. As he was about to shoulder his gear, he remembered something he was holding in his hand, a thing he'd picked up in the underwater tunnel. He looked at it. It was keycard 6! Let's go. Don't always believe the map you get or what you hear on the radio. You'll find a lot of misinformation. That is so... This hint is like the game is gonna feed you false information sometimes. Don't always believe what you hear. Don't always believe what you see with your eyes or hear with your ears. Such a great line from Solid Snake. It was Kika. Solid Snake. Alright, one more chapter, you guys. The trained killer scorpions. Oh my god. The first room Solid Snake opened on the second floor held a prisoner, but it was not Dr. Petrovic. It was a member of the squad. As he released the snake man, Halley received this message. Listen to Resistance Fighter Jennifer on waveband 12048. 12048? According to Commander South's instructions, Justin Halley's transceiver had been set to 12033. Now he reset the wavelength and attached the antenna. Almost at once, Solid Snake heard loud and clear a woman's voice coming over the transceiver. It wasn't a voice that you heard before. It was not Diana. Jennifer here. I'll set up the rocket launchers. Coming in. Alright. Without delay, Halley went in search of the rocket launchers, following Jennifer's radio signal by rotating the antenna and using it as a direction finder. Okay. The radio transmission led him around corners and through a long corridor. At the end of the corridor was a row of giant packing crates. Solid Snake realized the crates might hold the rocket launchers, but more likely they were another of Katafi's fiendish traps. Which of them contained the rocket launchers? Which was the trap? Up to now, Halley had always stayed away from the middle of everything he'd encountered in Outer Heaven. The middle crate, the middle truck. But now, he had a feeling. Instinct told him that this is a stage of the game. Game! Snake, turn the gear console off right now! Ready? Colonel Katafi would be bringing in some changes. He thought for the first time the middle crate would be the safe one. My fourth wall! What is this? And it was. One more time, Solid Snake's instincts had served him well. The middle crate held the rocket launcher. Behind the crates, he saw a door, partially hidden behind one of the pillars that held up the ceiling. Using keycard 6, Halley got the door open. Inside was Dr. Petrovic. At last! Solid Snake took an eager step forward and stopped. All of his highly developed snake man instincts told him that something was wrong here. He smelled a trap. Gasoline. Where were the guards? There ought to be guards inside the room with the prisoners. Vitally important to Metal Gear Project is Dr. Petrovic. It's him. It's not him. He's fake. His instincts told him he was in a novel and his worldview crumbled and the world flipped a new page. I remember an episode of Magic School Bus like that where they all shrink down and then they go on the pages of a book and then they like start peeling the letters off, and I was like, how are they doing that? Taking one of the mines from his arsenal, Halley rolled it gently across the floor to where the doctor was sitting tied to a chair. The man didn't move, not so much as the flicker of an eyelash. This isn't the scientist, Solid Snake said to himself. It's a dummy. A booby-trapped dummy. Gaseous Snake, finally. High developed Snake Man and Cinch Benson count 23. And wait till they introduce all the other Snake Men. Snake is becoming self-aware, always has been. Put in the Castlevania cartridge. Oh, let me take a look at your other game saves. Oh, you played Spyro. How juvenile. Solid Snake fired a burst from his Mac 11, and the thing exploded, shattering into wires and stuffing. Halley hurled himself to the floor and covered his head the same instant that the mine under the dummy's chair went off with an ear-shattering blast. As he picked himself up, he brushed the fragments from his uniform, just as Halley discovered in the debris on the floor was keycard 7! So fast! The radio began to beep at him. The control signal was received again. Halley heard the same female voice. Jennifer here. I have a compass for you. Follow my signal. Okay. A thin, high signal began to emanate from the transceiver, and a second or two later, it was matched by a transmission coming from one of the locked rooms in the hallway. Using keycard 4, Solid Snake located the compass. The room next door was unlocked by keycard 6. It held no prisoners, nothing but a small bottle. Cautiously, Halley opened it and held it away from his nose, and with his other hand, fanned a little of the fumes towards his face and took a sniff. It's notes of raspberry. I smell notes of raspberry and penny whistle. I don't know. I don't know sense. Oh, white musk. I don't know what penny whistle is, but sounds like it could be the name of a flower. Oh, it's an instrument. I can play that. Probably. His highly developed snake man instincts betrayed. Another bottle of poop. Disgusting. Oh my god. He recognized the odor of the chemical from his tray with the snake bed. It was an on-purpose antidote to a number of deadly poisons. Quickly, he tucked the little bottle into his uniform belt. Suddenly, just then, Halley heard the heavy thumping of running boots. Harris guards were on the way. I'm sweating. He had to get out of here. He raced down the corridor, through a back door, and down a set of stairs that took him into the desert. A desert here in the jungle? Impossible, at least in nature. No, it had to be man-made. Another trap of catastrophes. Heaven only knew. Outer heaven only knew. What a way to tell a snake in the sands of a terrorist phony desert. Oddly, Halley felt elated. The presence of an unlikely desert here in the middle of nowhere led him to believe he's much closer to Metal Gear than before. The more difficult the obstacle, the nearer to the goal. Okay, if you say so. Snake Man is messing with our bottles. Are my swashy washy? My freaking shaky wakey? I can't remember. My massive meowing bottle. The more difficult the obstacle, the nearer to the goal. As Justin Halley took out his compass to lead him across the desert, he heard a strange whirring noise. It sounded like something shuffling across the hot sands. Something huge and dangerous. Before he could react to the sound, 3 giant creatures slowly came into view. Halley was nervous. These were trained killer scorpions! Katafi used them to destroy his enemies, and now they were coming at him. All poisonous and stuff. Poisonous stings held high in a sting position. What a horrifying sight. Even a man with the courage of a Marine Captain, Justin Halley, had to turn pale. The trained killer scorpions were mutants raised to grow to between 15 and 17 feet high. Oh my god, he's gonna die. Their poison stings were as long as thick as a javelin. They had eyes that bugged out of their heads on stalks, and the stalks kept twisting this way and that, searching for their quarry. Sir, we're building a desert as a trap and fill the desert with giant scorpions? Yes, of course. They had, yes, feet! That's crazy. And they caught sight of Solid Snake. He could tell because a horrifying high-pitched buzzing came from one of the out of the 3 of them. The sound of evil excitement. Slowly, they turned in his direction, and slowly they moved towards Halley. Their bodies were covered in the scales, and the scales made a sickening noise as they dragged across the burning sands of the desert. Giant mutant scorpions with laser beams on their heads, and sharks too, desert sharks, sand sharks. Those are not scorpions, those are Metal Gear's good gravy. Basically, I mean, are they robots? I guess they're mutants, so it's not Metal Gears. The curled tails of the train killer scorpions were raised high, poised to strike, to sting, and to kill. They were slow, but what was the need for haste? Where could Solid Snake go? The desert, seemingly stretching around him for miles, was empty of shelter, and the sun was hot enough to boil a man alive. He had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Yeah, I like sharks. That's my T-Rex. But the scorpions loved the desert heat. They thrived in it and grew to enormous sizes. All they needed to survive was the furnace heat and the frequent opportunity to make a kill. Justin Halley would have to stand and fight. He sorted through his weapons as the train killer scorpions came closer. He could smell them now. They smelled foul. Solid Snake fired again and again. Why do they stink? Until the clip of his Beretta was empty, and still they came dragging their scales over the burning sands. Nothing seemed to stop them, not Halley's grenades nor his Mac 11. He braced himself, dropping a rocket down the breech of his rocket launcher, and aiming through the sight, Solid Snake slammed his hand on the trigger button, and the rocket exploded from the tube. One scorpion exploded in a noxious burst of matter. Ow, it stinks! He fired again, and the rocket launcher was hot to the touch. The disposable firing tube wouldn't take much more use. A miss. Another rocket launch, then another. Then the second of the train killer scorpions blew apart messily. But the third one kept coming at Halley. Nothing appeared to faze the creature, not even the sudden explosive death of its brothers. A stinger waved over its head, eager to plunge into Solid Snake's heart. I hear arachnids can be quite stinky. No, it's a good stink. It's a good stink. Ray's confused. They don't stink. They sting. Yeah, I don't get that they smell noxious. Loading the rocket launcher, Halley hit the trigger button, but it misfired and the rocket wasn't launched. Was the rocket launcher still operational? There seemed to be no stopping this evil creature. Ammunition of any kind showed no effect on it. The scorpion would have to be hit head-on with everything he had. Solid Snake waited until the monster was almost on top of him. He waited until he could see the color of the creature's beady eyeball. It was green. Then, and only then, did he turn and aim the rocket launcher dead on target. But would the launcher fire or misfire again? Boom! The last explosion caught the giant lumbering creature full in the chest. With an eerie high scream, it blew into a million poisonous fragments. Solid Snake was clear. Why didn't he just cover himself up in scorpion musk and rear up like a cat? Well, because they're gonna know he's not as big as a scorpion. They're gonna immediately know he's not one of them, you know? Alright, that's the last chapter for today, you guys. How much is left? Let me look. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters left, you guys, so we can probably finish up next time. What the heck is going on? What do you mean? He's in a desert with giant scorpions. Don't you remember that from the game? Is that actually in the NES game? I don't remember that. Not curious what these giant scorps looked like in the game. I don't know if that was a thing or if they were just like, can I please put something exciting in this book instead of Snake just finding like 11 billion key cards? Pretty short book. Well, I think it's for kids, so... You were waiting for a Bose-Einstein condensate snake. Is that a form of matter? I've never heard of that. I love book reading streams with Ami. Me too! I love book reading streams with you guys. And this one actually matches the game I'm playing today. I'm playing Metal Gear 2, so... I decided to pair them up today. How will Solid Snake Justin Halley get out of this one? Well, he's out of it. That's how the chapter ended. It's not like a cliffhanger or anything, so he's fine. This was fun. Yay! I'm gonna get back to working on my little elevator Halloween opening screen. But thanks guys for hanging out while I read this to you. We'll finish it next week. After 2 paragraphs of there was nothing no matter where you looked, I can certainly see the writer wanting to add something fun. Yeah, it makes sense. Good luck. Thank you. I only have 4 different like little scenes to finish and then I'll be done. Well, I'm almost done one of them, so 3. This is fun and silly, the laughing fit. I forgot. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later for Metal Gear 2 in just a couple hours, just 2 hours. Okay, guys. Thank you. お疲れ様。おやすみ。See you soon. Bye bye.